Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Newsletter Launchpad. My name is Audrey Bell Kearney, and I'm the publisher of the Gwinnett Morning Spark newsletter. So glad that you guys are here with me today. Now, I'm not sure, my lighting seems to be a little bit crazy. I got lights here, lights overhead, but I still look a little dark. But anyway, hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday. So today I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about the Gwinnett Morning Spark and my challenge that I'm hosting for myself. But before that, I want to just talk about, for you guys who don't know me, my name is Audrey Bell Kearney. I'm the publisher of the Gwinnett Morning Spark newsletter. I'm also the host of Good Morning Gwinnett podcast and the publisher of the Good Morning Gwinnett news site. So goodmorninggwinnett.com, Good Morning Gwinnett podcast, and the Gwinnett Morning Spark newsletter. I launched the newsletter about 4 weeks ago, and I'm excited about the newsletter. It's a hyperlocal newsletter. Gwinnett County is where I live, and my goal right now is to grow my subscriber list. So I decided that I wanted to do something. I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to challenge myself to get to 15,000 subscribers over the next 90 days. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. Like some of the things that I've thought about doing and what I've actually decided to do to kick it off. So every week, every Friday, I was supposed to come on at 4 o'clock. So please don't hold it against me. I got caught up in a meeting because when I'm not running my business, I'm also the president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. So I'm all Gwinnett all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. So I was in a meeting, got caught up in a meeting. That's why I'm a little bit late with doing this live. But so Gwinnett Morning Spark is a newsletter that comes out every morning at 6 a.m. And the reason I decided to launch the newsletter was because the main thing was I have the Good Morning Gwinnett website. The site is, I've been doing Good Morning Gwinnett podcast for almost 6 years. I've had the news site for about probably 2 years. And with all of the changes that's taking place in SEO, it was starting to drive me crazy because I'm putting out a lot of content and the algorithms are changing. And so that was a little bit stressful. So I decided to launch a newsletter, but I wanted to stay in the same vein as my Gwinnett. So Gwinnett County is outside of Atlanta, and I live here. And so I wanted to have a newsletter that was kind of focused on my community, but with good news. Now, my site doesn't have bad news either, but I wanted to be able to add more uplifting stuff, and I wanted to be able to reach people on a regular basis, even if they didn't come to the website. So I launched the Gwinnett Morning Spark about 4 weeks ago, maybe like 4.5 weeks now, and now I'm on this journey to build up my subscribers to the newsletter. So I've looked at quite a few things. I looked at Spark Loop, which is a way for you to run ads, I think, to get your newsletter, to get your subscriber base up. I've looked at Beehive Boost. I've looked at social media platforms, and I'm going to try all of them. So right now, one of the things I'm doing right now, I'm going to start with Spark Loop because I heard a lot of people talk about Spark Loop, and I decided that I was going to do Spark Loop to kind of kick it off, to kind of just see how far I can go with that. So Spark Loop is a paid platform that helps you build up your subscriber base. So I'm going to be using Spark Loop. That's going to be my first starting point. And I don't know what's wrong with my lighting, y'all. So I got lights all over me, but for some reason the sun is going, I don't know, some crazy thing going on. But can you hear me? I hope you can hear me well. I'm going to start off with Spark Loop because one of the things that I heard most of the newsletter publishers say, they started out with paid subscribers first. Now, I've heard other people say they don't like Spark Loop because the people that you get are not people that's really interested in your newsletter. I feel like my newsletter, even though it says Gwinnett Morning Spark, the first two sections of my newsletters could be for anybody, anywhere, because the first part is an inspirational quote. The next part of my newsletter is a inspirational song that I use AI to create every day, and then the third part of my newsletter, section of my newsletter, is a longer paragraph about inspiration. So the first three sections of my newsletters can be for anybody, anywhere. I don't get into news until like further down in the newsletter about Gwinnett County and what's happening. But the first three sections of my newsletters can be from anybody. So even though the title is Gwinnett Morning Spark, I still feel like there is an opportunity for anybody to subscribe to the newsletter to be inspired at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, if you're getting up at 6 o'clock and you want some inspiration, you want to hear an inspiring song, you want an inspiring quote, you want an inspiring passage, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. And if you want to learn about Gwinnett County, now you can read the rest of the newsletter down further. So I've heard people have good things to say about Spark Loop. They have not so good things to say about Spark Loop. I'm gonna take Spark Loop. I'm gonna take my chance and see how Spark Loop is gonna work for me. So I'm gonna run Spark Loop ads. That's gonna be my first foray. So by next Friday, I should have some kind of numbers to come back and tell you guys about what I did, because my goal is over the next 90 days, and I'm challenging myself, and you are welcome to join the challenge. It's free. I don't have anything for you to download. Only thing I can say is join me live every Friday, and I'm going to try to be on time, I promise. And I'm going to talk about what I've done, and you feel free to jump in and share what you've done. But I'm going to come on live and share with you what I have done so far to grow my newsletter. And so right now I'm going to start with Spark Loop, and I have some other things that I'm doing that's outside of Spark Loop that's kind of like not free, but kind of free. And I talk about that for later on down the line. But I have a local newsletter, and I could have started a general newsletter. So I am the president of a chamber. And so I talk all day long about business. I talk to women in business. I'm talking about tech. I talk about all stuff business. So I could have easily have started a business newsletter, and that was strictly about business. I could have started a newsletter that was about women in business, since I'm the president of a women's chamber of commerce. I could have started so many different types of newsletters. I could have started a newsletter about newsletter. I could have started a newsletter about podcasting. I've been podcasting since 2009, but I wanted to stay on brand. And so right now, Gwinnett County, Gwinnett is the brand that I have been building for 6 years. I wanted to stay on brand. I also wanted to continue to be a voice of the community in the community. And so that's why I picked the Gwinnett Morning Spark. However, I know that the first sections of my newsletter, they can inspire anybody. So every day, I sit here and I use AI and I create these songs. Some of them sound really good. Some of them, not so much, but they are inspiring. The words are inspiring. The words are motivational and things like that. So I sit there every day. So anybody, anywhere can listen to those songs and become inspired. The quotes that I put in there, anybody anywhere can be inspired. The passages that I put, anybody anywhere can be inspired. And then if you want to learn about Gwinnett County and why I love it so much, if you go down a little further, you'll find more information about that. So now my goal is to grow over the next 90 days to grow my subscribers to 15,000. That's a big number, but listen, there are over 1 million people who live in Gwinnett County. Let me say that again. We have over 1 million people who live in Gwinnett County. That's not even the people that work in Gwinnett County. Those are the people that live in Gwinnett County. We are the second largest county in the state of Georgia, and we are like the 11th, I think, in the country. So I should be able to get 15,000 subscribers to the newsletter over the next 90 days, and that's my goal. So I want you guys to think about, if you have a newsletter or thinking about starting a newsletter, I'm going to be doing this challenge for myself, and you guys are welcome to join in for the next 90 days. And the goal is 15,000 subscribers. Now, I don't know if I'm going to hit it. I'm just going to tell you the things that I'm doing. And the first thing I'm going to do is run Spark Loop. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I can tell you that some of the segments of my newsletter have I got business. I do have business in the newsletter. I can't move away from business. It's in my blood. I have money in the newsletter. I have, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna pop this in here so you guys can go and I'm gonna pop this in there so you can go check it out. You can go and subscribe to the newsletter. GwinnettMorningspark.com. Scrolling right across the screen there. Oh, not yet. right? GwinnettMorningspark.com. So that's my newsletter. And you guys can go and subscribe to the newsletter so you can see how I have it laid out in my sections. That's what I did. I downloaded a bunch. I was already getting a bunch of podcasting newsletter because I do a lot of podcasting. So I was already subscribed to a whole lot of podcasting newsletters. Wasn't really paying the format of the newsletter any attention because I was really focused on the content. So at that time, it wasn't like, I was thinking about, okay, I need to see how this newsletter is laid out. It wasn't that, because at that time, newsletters, I was doing a newsletter, but it wasn't intentional. It was like, okay, let me put out what's happening this week and whatever's going on with the chamber. And then when I decided to focus more on the newsletter for my business side, I was like, okay, let me look at other formats. And I'll tell you, my first probably 4 or 5 issues, maybe 6 issues, I thought it looked nice. But when I went back to look at some of the major newsletters, I was like, okay, yeah, they don't have this big thing here. They don't have all this. And I changed it. And when I looked at it, I said, that looks a lot better. So I've looked at newsletters that I actually like and read. I saw that format. Mine is a little bit different, but there were some things aesthetically that I totally took from other newsletters. So I want to incorporate that into my newsletter. So now I'm adding I'm only going to add about 2 more sections to my newsletter, because I have to be able to create something that I love that's going to help people, inspire people, motivate people, educate people. I just have to. This is who I am. So I'm adding a couple more pieces, 2 more sections to the newsletter, and then that's it. So when the newsletter come out on Monday, it'll have 2 more small sections in the newsletter. And one of those is probably going to be like weather. And then one is going to be something else. I'm trying to decide what I want to do it, because I don't want this huge other thing that's at the top of my newsletter. So I'm still going back and forth with that. But I looked at other newsletters. I looked at some of the formats. I kind of like them. I took a little bit from this one, a little bit from that one to make mine. But all of the content, I'm in Gwinnett County, so my newsletter is completely different, because there is no, Gwinnett newsletter. Well, not that I know of. We have news sites, but it's really news. The way that I'm doing mine, I don't know anybody in Gwinnett. I don't know anybody in Georgia that's doing it actually. That incorporates music inside the newsletter for you to go listen to. I don't know anybody. So I'm looking at that. So hopefully, I'll come back on next Friday and I have some news for you to say, okay, this is what Spark Loop turned up for me over the last 7 days or last 5 days or whatever it is. This is what Spark Loop turned up for me. So I'm going to use Spark Loop, and I think it's sparkloop.com. I'm going to use that as my platform to kick off my my marketing of my newsletter. I'm kicking that off. And then I have some other things I'm going to share with you that are really cool. Actually, I was in 2 meetings, one meeting yesterday, one meeting day before yesterday. And it's a partnership that I'm doing locally. And I think it's really cool, but I'll share that with you guys once I actually launch the whole thing, and I can show you what I did. And so, I'll bring that. So that's going to probably be the week after next, because I have to actually get some things developed first. And so that's my plan. My plan is to grow Gwinnett Morning Spark to 15,000 subscribers over the next 90 days. Right now I have 403. And so by the time my next 90 days is up, I will hope to have 15,403. That's the goal, 15,403, and to keep it growing. So that's my goal. That's a big audacious goal over the next 90 days. But I do live in a community where there are over 1 million people. I do live in a community where there are over 1 million people. The town that I live in has over 30,000 people, but the surrounding towns have just as many. So, it's a huge community. And we all do something. We all look a little bit different here in the county. It's the most diverse county in Georgia. It's the most diverse county in the Southeast. Gwinnett County is the most diverse county in the entire Southeast of the United States. Yes, we are a big melting pot of people. We are. And that's a nice thing. So you get all kind of flavors when you come here. And so I'm going to be doing a little bit more so you can see behind the scenes of what we're doing and bringing news from other cultures and things like that. So just a lot of good stuff that I'm thinking about. So anyway, thank you all for listening. If you have any questions, be sure to connect with me at Gwinnett Morning Spark. That's the newsletter. If you have a question for me, I can be reached at hello@GwinnettMorningspark.com. hello@GwinnettMorningspark.com. And that's hello at GwinnettMorningspark.com. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be back next Friday, perfectly on time. But check out my newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter, and subscribe to this channel. Like, yeah, I got this whole thing going on. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an issue, and connect with me. All right. Thank you again. Until next time, my friends. Until next time, you guys stay safe out there. Have a beautiful weekend. And I'll be back real soon, real soon. Thank you. Bye.